Hi, this is KMAD4PEACE. Welcome back. And here we have Coach Nate Whitsett today, and he's going to talk about his new mentoring program that's been going on for some time. It's new to me, but it's been going on for a while. It's called Think A Plus. And if for everyone who hasn't heard of it, it's to usher in a new style mixed with old school way of having young men recognize that education is very important for our African American men. There's been a real decline in graduation rates in recent years, and since the uptick of implementing certain programs that are of support for them, they often go unutilized. So with this, I'm going to say it's a great idea. It's something old but new since the Scared Straight programs of our day, Nate.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank
and
you for
I
having
thank
me on
you
the show.
so much
Appreciate it.
for doing what you're doing. It's such a great honor for an upstanding coach like yourself and teacher to volunteer to do such good work for these young men, and to have somebody that they can look up to and say, hey, I want to aspire to be like you. I want to be a teacher one day, or I want to be whomever it is that they may aspire to be. They have a hope that that can be accomplished, and you're it. So can you tell us about your program and what it is that you want and expect from it?
Well, with the Think A Plus mentoring group, we're looking to bring the unify basically some of the older gentlemen as well as the youth that are coming up today, some that may have been experienced incarceration and those things, to give them the experiences and some of the things that they've had to deal with, to help share with the young people. And we want to do that because in our area we have a lot of young guys that's coming up thinking gang life and all of this stuff is just a way, and this is so cool. And we want to bring the older guys who've experienced those things, who have done time. Right. Once you get locked up, sometimes it changes the viewpoint. Where you can get to see how things really happen. And so what we want to do is use that or leverage that partnership, leverage those relationships from those gentlemen who can actually say, hey, you know what? Listen, young man, let me tell you a little something about a story. Let me tell you what happened to me in this experience and how I dealt with it, and why you don't even want to go down that road. Right. You think you want to be on the left side, but we really need to be on the right side. Right. So let's get this together and share some of those ideas. Hear from what the youth are saying. What are their what glamorizes it? Because right now a popular conversation the kids are having is about power. Everybody want to be ghosts. Right. I want to be ghosts. Right. So they running around and doing all this stuff. And trying to present that tough persona where a lot of times it's not really happening for them, And so it's hurting them in the long run, in the short run, in their academics, and really not getting as much as they possibly can. So we want to leverage those relationships because we got some guys who have been incarcerated, who came out and did very well for themselves, working, started nonprofits, owning their own companies. Right. So it's different things like that can say, hey, I can turn this thing around now before you have to go through the rough side. Right. So for me, it was like I saw the original Scared Straight. Right. And a vivid picture in my mind was of a guy. He was real young. I think he might have been about 12 years old, and he was giving his mom them. They just couldn't do nothing with him. He was always talking back and trying to do stuff around the house. They couldn't control him, so they put him on the original Scared Straight. Now they didn't have back then. They didn't have the guys yelling at him through the door where they couldn't touch him. They could touch you then. So I remember the young guy coming up and he said, "Hey," he said, "Come here, man." He was like, "Sit on my lap." And little fella was confused, but he sat on the guy's lap. So then he said, "Yeah. Now, you see that guy over there?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Give me a cigarette, man." Got a cigarette from me. He's like, "Now you go sit on his lap and just hang out with him for a while." And I knew then in my mind, I said, well, I think I'm smart enough that I want to do something different, because I definitely don't want to be in there sitting on nobody's lap.
Okay.
So that was just a brief thing that I saw, that I was like, man, I don't want to be in there sitting on nobody's lap.
Okay, and not strong
so
enough
it kind
to
of
defend yourself.
yeah, so it kind of set something off in my mind. Like, now, what are the ways that I can stay out of trouble where I don't have to deal with that?
Right.
And so I'm on the side of not having to be in there, but the culture and climate that I was set with as a young adult, was I was always connected with people somewhere. They say 1 out of 3 somebody going to jail.
Right.
You know, somebody going to prison, you know. And those are alarming numbers, but the way that the system is set up, it's almost like a net that you got to constantly be trying to cut
and avoid
and jump over.
Right.
Hop, skip, jump, do whatever you need to do to stay away from that route.
Okay. Now let me ask you, who was your mentor after seeing that helped you avoid that net, and that helped you get to the point where you decided, I'm gonna get a degree. I'm going to be an educator. I want to do something more than just talk about being Scarface, and I'm not sure if that was around your time.
That was the man back then. That's what we wanted to be, Scarface.
So, you know, who
run your program.
Right. So who was it that grabbed you by your educational desire and said, hey, let me show you the inroad to getting where you need to go?
It was a lady, her name, she was an educator, Frances Decker.
Okay.
She's going on, you know, she passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
but
that.
during that time when I was in school, she you know, I thought I was cool, you know, I was doing my little stuff. I'm thinking nobody noticed. I was laid back. I was the kid that, you know, making money, but I was
the
coming
one
to
that
school
was quiet
with it, wasn't saying much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coming to school with about $8 or $9, maybe $10 a day in my pocket.
Okay.
You know, and had my stash, all over somewhere else.
Penny candy store. Okay.
And she came to me one day and she passed this book to me. She said, "This book reminds me of you." And so I looked at it and I read the book, the back cover. Okay. And it was about a guy who grew up in Harlem, gangs, you know, got in drugs and running the streets. Okay. And he ended up becoming one of the top lawyers at a law school. The title of the book was Man Child in the Promised Land.
Oh, okay.
So I said, wow. You know, I'm thinking I'm fooling everybody. Okay. And she telling, you know, I
think I want to write that down.
Called me a good read. Man Child in the Promised Land. Okay. You know, and it was Claude Brown, you know, and I read his story, you know, in high school, and then I went and read it in college again. You know? Right. But yeah,
so
that said
you already had your cheat packet, huh?
Yeah, when you got to college. She gave me a packet to show me the way, and was kind of molding me then, you know. And it was making sense, because she looked at me. She said, "Now you smart enough to go to college now." And I said, "College," because nobody never talked to us about that. You know, that word was pretty foreign. You know, and
I recall that even in counseling office in high school, you know, they would say, "Hey, these forms, you need to go fill these out at home." And but finish your story.
And basically, I mean, in a nutshell, you know, I went through the process, and you know, had got, you know, pretty intense to the point where, you know, she found out that I was selling drugs, and I sat there, you know, and she started crying, you know, because we used to talk all the time. Right. But
and you know, I find that is a great way to break the ice with young men, because a lot of times they don't have an outlet or somebody that they can really let it all out to and feel like they can trust that person, and that person loves them enough to want to see them succeed. So that was wonderful that she was able to do that with you.
Man, my own mama didn't cry when she found out I was, you know, selling drugs. So for her to cry, and I'm sitting there like, man, I didn't stop immediately, but that was the beginning of an end.
Something that ate at you till you just said, let me just change my mind.
I tell you, the police got behind us one night, and I had all kind of stuff. I would probably be doing big time right now.
Right.
But thank God for being able to run, jump fences, and throw off the dog scent.
Right. And that ain't the neighborhood nowadays.
Yeah,
you got townhomes and no fields and no alleys to run down.
There you go.
Right.
But to beat that and actually get out and say, all right, I told all my boys, like, hey, I'm through. I'm going to school. My school counselor, she done got me. I actually had to go to day and night school.
Okay.
To actually get to finish on time.
Okay.
Because it was like I had messed up early, lost credit, skipping, doing a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
But, I was able to get back on track. I say, whatever it takes, I want to do it. Because, my mom wasn't aware that I wasn't going to graduate on time had I not done it.
And that's a wonderful thing that you are able to open up and put that out there, because some young man that may hear this, or some mom or dad that may hear your story, what you're saying right now, that's a gold mine to some people, because they're saying, how am I going to get my child to understand that they can catch up? And sometimes some of us are embarrassed, and we don't know how to say, I'm behind, I don't know what to do, or can you help me? And they just already have decided that the world has given up on them. Yeah. So I'm glad that you were able to share that part, but continue.
Yeah, so we, went through the process and got out of there and graduated. She wasn't none the wiser. I tell you, they used to tease me too, because at that time I was still on the block. And I look at the time, I knew I had to make it to my class.
Right,
so I'm like, all right, man, go on somewhere, 24-hour going to school. But get off the block. You don't even need to be out here. What you doing? They giving it to me. I'm he. Right. Putting everything up, taking inventory on my way to night school. But I say, hey, this is what this is where I'm at, because I need to graduate. And I can't let my mom down like that.
Okay.
So I ended up going and finished up, and I went to school, graduated, and got my teaching certificate and all of that.
Okay.
And, in the classroom, working with the kids daily.
Okay. So now let me ask you, as at this point in your life, do you ever share any of what you just told me with any of the students or like, say you see what was her name again?
Miss Decker.
Miss Decker. Mm-hmm. Do you ever see something in one of the children that Miss Decker saw in you, or do you see them all as you, and you're, per se Miss Decker, and you're able to kind of grab the attention of whomever may listen? Have you saw that in anybody?
I don't bring it up much, like to that degree, but a lot of times I kind of talk to the kids in general and give them a little feedback, because I don't, want to glamorize that side of the lifestyle, because that's where the issue is now. When they start seeing that.
Well, maybe I should have rephrased what I was
asking.
I should have asked, do you see some of you in some of the young men and say, hey, come here, take this book home, read it. Sort of like and let me ask you this, do you ever see the cornbread Earl and me kind of stories? And I know you remember that.
Yeah.
When he was mistaken for somebody else, and the police was after one person, but he's dribbling his basketball, going about his business, and
shot him.
It was sad. Yeah. But do you ever hear some of the young people that may be in there that may have had older siblings that have had that experience, kind of holding their head down, and you saying, hey, that's a tragedy, but
it is. Let's turn that around.
You gotta, come on. You gotta make it for them. Have you run across any of
on
those
several
stories?
occasions? One in particular, it was crushing, because I loved this kid. I was mentoring him, giving him rides to school some days and just trying to help him out, because he was in school, but he was older than the average, average high school student.
Right.
So I'm like, you got to get out of here, man. These desks, they not getting no smaller. So you need to get up and get out, man. You can't keep, everybody not going, after time, you're going to age out of this.
Right, exactly.
So we, I work with him, and, always giving him advice when he needed it. And, I gave one example. I helped him to understand who his real friends were. Right. Because he was independent living, had his own apartment. And, you know, I came over one day, it was about 7 or 8 guys in there, they sitting around talking, you know, and he got this big pile of clothes sitting off to the side in his living room, one studio, little apartment. I say, man, I told him, I said, let me holler at you right quick. So I started talking to him. I say, you know, I'm going to show you who your real friends are. I said, watch this. So we went back in there. I say, hey, my man say he needs some help, man, getting these clothes down to the laundromat the laundromat, which was downstairs in the apartment. He just wants somebody to help him clean them up. And 6 out of the 7 guys like, man, we got to get out of here. I'm going to holler at you, man. We about to do this. We going somewhere and blah, blah, blah. And it was one guy who was like, I'll help you, man. You know, you wash them up and I'll help you get them together and stuff. I was like, that's your homeboy right there. That's your true friend right there.
There you go.
You know, I say, now I'm out of here because I ain't finna do it for you. You got to.
I did my part already.
I
gave you a lesson today.
Yeah, I showed you.
Right.
So,
that was absolutely wonderful.
But the tragic part was he ended up getting shot and killed in a car. He was with one of his friends. Somebody had a gun, showing it off. This, that, and it went off. You know, for you to forget about the one in the chamber.
Wow.
You know, and so
that is
sad.
sad.
So
I
had to take part. We would say he was so close. You know,
right.
I had to take some time off and all of that, and I felt like I'll never get that close again. You know,
right.
That's how it make you feel. But
yeah, and I understand.
That's part of it.
But the love in your heart for your fellow man makes you just say, you know what, I'm gonna have to put that aside and open up again. And I get what you're saying because I've been there in that place before. And I try to kind of remember that that's what we all here for. You know, we have to work out of love, and we have to work from where they're at. You know, and everybody not going to be in our place, and I get that.
Right.
So, a very good reminder, and I thank you so much for your interview. And is there anything else that you'd like for us to know?
I would just say, that you can change the world one person at a time. It doesn't have to take a group or just everyone coming together or a collective large movement. You be the change that you want to be.
Okay.
So whether you get up 2 or 3 of the neighborhood local kids or something to affect the change in the generation. So you got the influence too, because you can call them Ray, John, Pookie,
Right.
Lil Foot,
Pookie and them.
Yeah, Big Stank, Lil Stank. Y'all get over here. We going to the mall. I'm gonna show y'all around, and then we going to clean up this neighborhood over here.
You got a point. And you know what? And to that note, there was a lady that used to come around in our neighborhood and literally be picking up trash. She didn't live there, but she would just literally be picking up trash. She said, I live in this area. Yeah. And I would like for, people that pass through here to know that this is not us. Right. And, and I said, that's very commendable what you're doing. I mean, in the heat, in the snow, in the rain, I would see her out there picking up trash, and I would think about her often. She's not around anymore. She moved away. But one day I asked one of the people that were around in the city that were doing grass cutting. I said, wouldn't it be nice if y'all hire some of these teenage kids that are out here? Yeah. And I just basically got a shoulder shrug. So that was something I was thinking about looking into and asking the city, hey, y'all want to come and send the police? Send these kids out here to clean up their own area and pay them for it. I mean, we used to have the CETA program. I don't know if you remember it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Where we made our little money for the summer.
Used to make lunches.
Okay, and we could,
box lunches. Little white box, throw the food in there.
There you go.
That was an honest day.
I did landscaping.
Yeah.
Right. Got a little $200-something check or $300 if you stayed over. And it was able, something that helped you buy school clothes or something you wanted. And you didn't have to say, act as an adult.
On your parents and all that.
And then, hey, can I get those new, at the time, Calvin Kleins and Jordache.
Let me get a pair of them Chuck Taylors.
Yeah. The Chucks are out too. Yeah. So, give these kids some incentives, so that's sounds like a winner what you're doing, and maybe some point we can collaborate and see if
All right, come on out and
Nate
visit
the coach
us while we're doing our.
and come and help us get these kids some jobs.
All right, let's do it.
So I thank y'all for your time, and I thank Coach Nate, and I thank you audience for listening. This is KMAD4PEACE signing out.
So you want to say peace, 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 peace?